So like I said, this is a RISE information session. We do it regionally, so I'm happy to speak to all of you around East Asia and Oceania. Essentially today, I'm going to speak a little bit more about what RISE is on behalf of me from Schmidt Futures and on behalf of some of our RISE Global winners. We have Giannis and Raul. I know, Giannis, you just said that you're out of class. Our winners do millions of things at once. And Raul, if you're able to turn on your camera and just introduce yourself as well. We have another winner named Nathan who's going to be joining us.
Just introduce myself?
Yeah, just introduce yourself. And if you could say even quickly,
Cool.
just found out about RISE.
Yeah, cool. So hi everyone, my name's Rahul. My pronouns are he, him. I'm from Australia, Brisbane specifically. Not much is known about my city apart from the fact that we're hosting the Olympics in about 10 years, I think. So that's pretty cool. I found about RISE through some TikTok ads I saw in early 2022. So that's how I decided to apply for it.
Very awesome. I am also promoting Nathan. Nathan, could you say something in the chat? Oh, you already got promoted by Greg, I'm assuming. Awesome. So Nathan, if you're also here and you could go ahead and say, introduce yourself, say how you got introduced to RISE.
Absolutely, thank you. Hello everyone, I'm a year 2 global winner from South Korea. My Korean name is Pek Seokhyun, but feel free to call me Nathan. I think that's a bit more easier to pronounce. And I found about RISE through a conference and a year 1 winner, I think in early 2021. And yeah, that's how I found out about RISE.
Awesome. It's great to have you guys joining me to give a little bit more information and some context behind RISE. So essentially, RISE is a program that finds promising young people. It provides them with opportunities that allow them to work together to serve others over lifetimes. So there are multiple benefits to being a RISE winner, along with just applying, and some of those benefits are what we're going to get into. But first, a little bit about how RISE even began. Hearing that a program just supports some young people to support others over the course of their lifetime is sort of like, wow, how is this funded? I saw some questions in the chat also asking about that. So essentially, in 2019, Schmidt Futures, which is founded by Eric and Wendy Schmidt, made a $1 billion philanthropic commitment to identify and support global talent, which is looking for and supporting young people that are amazing like Giannis, Raul, and Nathan all over the world. It's one part of an initiative of the Rhodes Trust and Schmidt Futures, which is the anchor program to this commitment. And you can see we have Forbes. We've just had a couple of winners speak to Teen Vogue. There's a lot of media around the good that these young people are doing. The whole point of RISE is that we believe that our world's most important problems will be solved by this next generation of leaders, young people who are coming up, working together, and finding solutions. We think that if one person can change the world, imagine what it could do if we get all of these young people in network together, creating, thinking, and doing good throughout their entire lives. That's the entire vision of RISE. And so a bit of an overview is that it's a global community. We really emphasize this aspect of RISE being a global community and tapping into a worldwide network through all of our winners being so incredibly diverse, speaking so many different languages, being from so many different places, as you can just see from our 3 winners that are supporting us today. And that RISE offers benefits to all that apply, not just all that win, and that we look for talent in innovative ways, not just in the ways that your school maybe assesses you or that colleges look to admit you to them. We look for different ways to make sure that we're capturing a holistic, more full picture of who you are as a person and as a change maker. So let's get into some of these applicant benefits. Everyone who applies, like I said, becomes a part of a global community and can participate in the RISE Discord. which is an online place and forum for all of our winners and applicants to sort of get to know each other, similar to some chat functions, have calls on the side, join affinity groups, join different communities that are aligned with their interests, like sustainability or philosophy, or if you're applying to colleges in the States and you need some help. I've helped to moderate some of these Discord chats, and they are amazing how much everybody knows. Things that I just couldn't even come up with, people are shooting away in the chat. Along with the RISE Discord in our global community, you can also gain access to free online resources and events. And just by applying, you're experiencing project-based learning and human-centered design approaches for social impact. The entirety of the RISE application sort of hinges on this 100-day project where it is entirely community-based and project-based learning, which is part of the innovative ways that we identify talent. And you can also learn more about opportunities from our partners, because like I said, we're a global community that connects not just to students, but to larger organizations that are finding these students and supporting them as well. I don't know, I know it's a bit on the spot, but if Raul, Giannis, or Nathan have been in the Discord, do you all want to speak a little bit about joining it? Or if there was ever a time that you talked in it or chatted with people or found some friends in it, or maybe spoke to some people from residential in there?
I think I can take that question. So in my case, I partially found out about RISE through the Discord server. That's where I interacted with a lot of year one winners and just really asked a lot of questions regarding what RISE was, because in the beginning I didn't really have a lot of information about it. So I think definitely asking a lot of winners and finalists and other fellow applicants in the community about RISE definitely helped me understand the community a bit more. And again, we have a lot of these sections, channels in the Discord community where you can talk with people on several different topics. And I think that's where the collaborations and the ideas come up. So I think it's definitely a great place to talk with like-minded people and really come up with new innovative ideas on social issues that you're passionate about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nathan. And moving on from, oh, yes, Giannis, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I just want to say, I feel like a very cool thing about the Discord is that there is like an opportunity channel where winners and RISE share like opportunities that we can have. Like it's often like it's like not only opportunities within RISE, but also those provided by like external organizations. So for example, we can find opportunities to like develop leadership or find funding and support to do our community projects. I feel like these are really cool things that not only in like RISE winners have access to, but then the whole communities can learn about these opportunities, and it's really good for like developing ourselves and also taking steps to like serve others.
Thanks so much. So that's a really great point that Giannis just made, that it's not just about Schmidt Futures to you, giving you benefits, but all of the applicants to each other, helping each other out, exploring opportunities and giving advice along with opportunities themselves, like Giannis just spoke about. And those were the applicant benefits, but now we can also get into some winner benefits. My favorite one, or the one that I think is coolest because I wish I was there, but I know these three young people have been there, was the residential summit, where we get all of our RISE Global winners from their cohort to oh, sorry, yeah, thanks for muting. But where we get all the global winners and bring them together in a summit so that they can speak more about their projects, learn more about different things, get to see the place that they're in. This most recent one was in London and in Oxford. And along with the residential summit, another winner benefit is the opportunity to apply for a 4-year post-secondary needs-based higher education scholarship. A lot of words. What that means is that we will help you apply for need-based scholarships to the college of your choice. Once accepted, you can apply for needs-based aid from us. And along with that, you have the chance to apply for funding for innovative ideas on a competitive basis. So let's say you already created your project and that's something you want to keep going forward with. You have the opportunity to have a more competitive aspect of getting more funding for your own innovative idea and your own project. Another benefit that we've mentioned is the access to our network, connecting to other RISE Global winners like these three, more community members, our partner organizations, and starter technology packages are another benefit, such as laptops or tablets or just more tech to help you hit the ground running and get started with your own projects and own innovation and change that you're making in the world. And along with the tech, the college, the summit, the innovative ideas funding, we also just have general academic or professional guidance and mentorship that can be specialized to help you take the first steps in your career, find a job, an internship, all of those things. Yeah. So more about the summit, it's where, like I said, all RISE Global winners receive an invitation to attend a fully funded residential summit. We call it the residential. And during the summit, our cohorts work together to, again, find more solutions, ask more questions. And a couple of years ago, it was hosted in South Africa, but the most recent one was in London and Oxford. And these awesome pictures show that they got to complete capstone projects, learn from experts, speak more about their own projects, build some community, ask and solve tough questions. I don't know if any of our winners, again, want to just speak a little bit about how their summit was. Yeah.
Oh, I'll go then. So I was part of the second cohort, so I went to London and Oxford. We did some really incredible things there. So we got to see some really amazing places. So we stayed in, so we went to both London for about a week and then Oxford for about a week. But I think the bit which stood out the most to me was our visit to Downing Street. So we actually got to go into the Prime Minister's house and went to like a event in his backyard, and that was something which was really just incredible. And you wouldn't be able to do that with any other program like that easily as a young person. So I thought that was really amazing.
If Giannis or Raul, you guys want to speak a bit about Summit as well?
I think I can add on a bit to what Raul said. So again, we went to London and Oxford, and I believe it was a great experience. I loved it absolutely, and we had a lot of opportunities to engage with other global winners. So I think it was a great place to also make friends and develop new projects. For example, on our capstone, we were able to engage with I think a group of other students. So including us, there was about 45 or 6 people in that group, and we were able to develop projects with mentorships from people in expertise. And yeah, I think that's just one great example from all the amazing things that we did at the summit. So that's a bit about the residential for me.
Yeah, and so to build on what Nathan mentioned, that we can really like collaborate with other people and learn about like their ideas. I feel like a very memorable part from the residential summit is the lightning talks, where RISE winners, they prepare like say a very short talk, like say less than 5 minutes on a topic that they're passionate about, and there's so much about like what they shared. They share so many cool things about like social issues from homelessness to like climate change, and it really like helped me to learn about like there are other social issues and what other RISE winners are doing to solve them. So I feel like it's very empowering and also foster collaboration, because I can learn about like perhaps there are other RISE winners who are also working on say a major cognitive neural disorder, which I'm also passionate like about solving or like tackling it. So I can collaborate with them, and that would be really a very great like experience.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Giannis, Raul, and Nathan, for speaking more about Summit and all the amazing things that happen there. And a bit more about the winner benefits, speaking about the global networks and the global community that we create. We know that networks, the people you know and the people that they know, play a super critical role in shaping the way that your life continues and moves and the impact and connections that you're allowed to make. And we think that through the power of this global network that we've created, that individuals can start to build more relationships and collaborations with their peers, not just collaborations with someone you know, but with someone that's also just as passionate about the same things that you are. And it just creates this whole global change and exchange of ideas. And a bit about our global community is that since we've started, we have 300 winners, 300 amazing young people from 70 different countries speaking 60 different languages. And specifically for our 2023 cohort, the most recent one, we have 100 global winners from 43 different countries speaking 27 different languages, which I think is amazing. And you might be wondering, where are these RISE winners today? They start off in high school, but where do they go? Well, they go to some amazing places like Yale, Stanford, U Chicago, and not just, again, American colleges, but Imperial College London, Hong Kong University, Oxford, Rio de Janeiro universities all over the world. Any accredited institution, you can apply for your needs-based aid from us once you become a winner. How do you apply? That's a very important question. And the biggest eligibility requirement that we have, that is a must-have, this is the most important requirement, is that applicants for this cycle, the 2024 cycle, must be between 15 and 17 years old as of July 1st, 2024, meaning you are born on or between July 2nd, 2006 and July 1st, 2009. So we get a lot of questions about what's your requirements, what are the biggest things? This is the main one. The age being between 15 and 17 as of July 1st, 2024. And so the process of applying, start with registering, telling us about you, completing a project, quizzes and games, and then some peer reviews. And another important thing is our application due date, which is January 17th, 2024. So you've got about over a month now, which is still a lot of time to get this project in. And answering the question of what are the RISE projects, we say that your project should benefit your community using anything. You can make a podcast, you can build an app, you can help your school, anything that helps your community and is community-based. And the projects really include these three components of focusing and researching your interested topic, designing a plan, and then acting and reflecting. And a cool thing, I think, is that you get to submit each part of your project via video. And since we've got three amazing winners with us, I'm going to go ahead and let them get into their RISE projects as examples. So we have Nathan from South Korea, Raul from Australia, and Yanis from China. And yeah, they already introduced themselves, and I'm going to let Nathan go ahead and get started with his project profile.
Thank you. So just to give you a brief, when I say introduction to me, again, I'm Nathan, a Year 2 global winner from South Korea. And for my RISE project, I founded a nonprofit called the Micro Initiative that develops SDG curriculums and programs for educational institutions. I think I took this approach by identifying a social issue that impacts me and my local community. And I used RISE really as an opportunity and a platform to develop this project. And going through the application cycle and everything, it was pretty refreshing to me and clearly different because RISE uses a lot of videos. We have the video option to complete our applications, and that really helped me capture my full identity. And I think the most important experience that I had throughout RISE was the residential summit. Again, we've talked about this a lot already, but for me, as part of the Year 2 cohort, we went to Oxford and London. We stayed about a week in London and about a week in Oxford. And we definitely had a lot of great experiences. And while we were in Oxford, we stayed in one of the colleges called Brasenose, and Ferwin at the University of Oxford. So having that college experience definitely helped us get a taste of what college looks like. And other than that, we were able to listen to a lot of lectures. And I think one of the lectures that really stand out to me was a lecture, I think by an expert from Antarctica. We were able to touch ice that was 55,000 years old. So that was pretty interesting to me. And other than lectures and learning from each other, we also had a lot of fun. For example, while we were in London, we had a cruise party, and that was definitely chaotic and fun at the same time. So it was really a great place to become friends with all the other 99 winners. So I think that was a great experience as well. And moving on, I believe that being part of the Rise Global community, whether you're an applicant, a finalist, or winner, it really helped me realize that I belonged regardless of my background. And when you come to the Rise winner community, we have these things called Rise unions. I think you can think of them as affinity groups. We have about 7 of them representing each continent, and also the Rise LGBTQ union. So I think those affinity groups are really the places where we can discuss these topics and again take action as a group together. And although it says 63 countries represented on my side, it's actually 70. So I think that's a great indicator of how diverse Rise is. And I think another highlight of my Rise experience was the capstone project at the Rise Residential Summit. So for my group, we used XR to support humanitarian training. And we were able to really get mentorship from a lot of different experts, and again presented in front of a panel. So I think that was a really good experience, not just developing ideas, but also having that startup experience. So yeah, I think that's my summary of my Rise experience until now.
Thank you so much, Nathan. What an awesome slide, telling us more about Summit and also about your own project of combating age bias and expanding access to education. And now we have Raul also speaking about his project and some of his highlights.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It is a bit difficult speaking after Nathan because he is such an incredible speaker. He went to New York, I think, earlier this year. He went to the United Nations and was able to do some amazing stuff there. So hi, everyone. My name is Rahul. I'm from Australia, from Brisbane, like I mentioned earlier. So my project looked at trying to improve access to emergency services in Australia. So currently, there's quite a big disparity in regards to access to these services. So for example, if you don't speak English or if you're an international visitor, it's quite difficult to access these services because when you call for help, it's all based in English for like the first, I'd say 3 minutes of your call before you're given a translator. And those 3 minutes are quite critical when you're trying to relay information. There's also an issue in regards to Australia is a very unique country in that our emergency phone number is not used anywhere else in the world. So for example, in the US, it's like 911, in the UK, it's 999. In Australia, it's 000, and no other country in the world uses that. So it's a bit difficult, especially when you're visiting Australia for a very short period of time to access this information. So what I did in the end was I developed an app which was basically to provide resources to these marginalized groups and also to other people. So based on the country, so what I did was based on the country you're in, the app will automatically update your emergency phone numbers. So like I mentioned, if you're in the US, it'll be 911, UK 999. If you're in Australia, it's 000. So this alleviates the system in 2 ways. So firstly, you don't have to remember this information, and especially if you're in an emergency in the first place, if you're trying to recall this information of like, oh, what's my phone, what phone number do I have to call? It just relieves quite a lot of stress for you. And also secondly, it's quite important, especially if you're like a refugee, for example, or a displaced person, you're not going to be able to research this information at all because your main focus is just trying to get away from this area of conflict or an area where you can't live in anymore. So providing this information very easily in a very accessible format is quite important. Another thing I did was I added additional resources into the app. So for example, I added a hospital locator, which would basically find the closest hospital that was open. And like the closest way, I think it was with driving in general, but you could like change it to have it closest way to walk there. And that's quite important for a couple of reasons. So firstly, it's quite difficult to search this information in Google Maps because it doesn't differentiate between like hospitals which are open and hospitals which are closed. So providing this information straight away is quite important. And another feature I added was like a CPR guide. So for example, in Australia, we have a very high number of drownings, which are very easily preventable by providing CPR to an unconscious person. So providing this information directly in an app in an accessible format is quite important. I partnered with a few nonprofits to actually develop my app. So I partnered with a translation organization based in the US, and this meant that my app was available in 8 languages, I think. So including like Arabic, Chinese, so a lot of a lot of languages which are spoken quite widely across the world. I think that was quite important in making sure it was accessible to most people. About my application, it's a bit embarrassing for me. So I started my application 3 days before the deadline. So I got a notification while I was on holiday further up north in Australia, and I was just taking a break from doing something. Saw the notification for Rise. I was like, oh, maybe I should apply for this. I checked the deadline. It was 3 days, so I had to like sort of speed through my project, but don't do what I did. That was not the best move. So I really enjoyed the Rise Residential Summit. So I used to live in the UK. I moved to Australia in 2013. So it's the second time I was back in quite a while. And it was really interesting because even when I lived there, I wasn't able to do half the things which we did on the Rice Summit. So like visit Downing Street, go into like Oxford colleges and stuff like that. That was really such an interesting experience, which you would never get anywhere else. What? Oh, never mind. I also really, I think I left something blank. Also, I really enjoyed working with winners from different cultural backgrounds and life experiences in our summit to create our capstone project. So basically what we did for our capstone project, I was partnered with someone from Israel, someone from Mexico. She was living in Mexico at the time, and someone from the US. And what we were trying to do was basically develop a project which would provide doctors and patients the ability to like do medical screening very cheap, do like screening for mental health issues quite cheaply using AR technology, like using AR and VR headsets. And we presented that at the end. It was really interesting to hear very different perspectives because I'm coming from like a major city. We have very like health services are very accessible in my area. But for example, when one of my friends lived in Mexico, it was very difficult for her to access these services. So providing a very flexible approach was quite important. So it's really interesting to hear different experiences at the summit while working on projects all together.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Raul. Also, amazing, Nathan, that you were just in New York for, I think if I heard correctly, some UN things. And also, Raul, you were just as eloquent. And I know that Giannis is as well. If you want to go ahead and tell us more about your project and a bit of your highlights from Rise too.
So my Rise project is a smart shoe insole that works with a mobile game to train the balance of seniors. So they wear the smart shoe insole and then play a mobile game to like shift their balance and control the basket in the game to connect some fruit. And by improving their balance, it can prevent falls and injuries and ultimately improving their quality of life. And this project inspired me to further like do other projects that use games to train abilities of seniors or provide like health support for seniors that will improve their quality of life. So for example, now I'm working on designing a board game that train the cognitive functions of seniors with major neurocognitive disorders, and it incorporates elements from reality-oriented therapy or reminiscence therapy to train like this dementia patients. And Rise is also supporting this project through funding and mentorship. So I'm really grateful for that. Like Rise really helped me to widen the impact. And regarding the highlight, I feel like Residential Summit is definitely a highlight as for being like a Rise winner. So a bit about myself. I haven't introduced myself, I think. I'm Yanis, I'm from Hong Kong, and I'm currently studying psychology and linguistics at Oxford. So going to like the place that I'm going to study for university during the Rise Residential Summit really helped me to like adjust to university life, because I was basically like traveling to like a new country to start like university. I was quite nervous about that, but then the Residential Summit gave me like an idea of like how the place is like and how living with like people from other culture and interacting with them is like. So that was really helped me to like adjust to the university, and also explore my horizon and learn about the culture. I've never seen like so many people from like different cultures before Rise Residential Summit, so it was really an eye-opening experience. And I also get to build connections that I that I still connect with. So for example, sometimes I have video calls with some friends at the university. So some material is really great. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonas. And thank you to all of our RISE winners for giving us such a tour of what you were thinking when you were applying, what you actually did for your project, and then how it was and how it is to just be a RISE winner now. And so moving from that, we're just going to answer some quick frequently asked questions. Does RISE look at our grades? No, this is part of us having an innovative method of identifying talent. We don't use grades. We don't use a transcript. We're not a college or university. We're just looking at your RISE challenge and what you give us to assess our values in your project. Can you submit group projects? Yes, but you must apply individually. You need to say what you did specifically as an individual for the group project. And then, is the application available in languages other than English? No, unfortunately, the application is only available in English. And that's what we use to assess all of your RISE challenge projects. And some other important information. Again, the important dates, the challenge, the application, except the peer review, which happens after, is due January 17th, 2024. So again, you've got over a month to get that in. And like Raul said, you did it in 3 days, which is super impressive, but also heed his advice and try not to. So you can get started now and have plenty of time. But amazing that he did that. I'm in awe. And then our peer review is due January 31st. We find out and we let you all know who the RISE finalists are. So up to 500 finalists can advance to the finalist days, where they would demonstrate more of their motivation, their abilities to problem solve, their team working skills in this interview format from April through June. And then our 100 winners, or up to 100 winners that we select, that happens in September 2024. And once we select them, they're provided with opportunity for life. Most important date here is the first one, the RISE challenge being due January 17th. And yeah, I'm gonna take a quick pause here, let everyone scan this QR code in the bottom left to register. That's the first part of getting started. You can follow our social media, visit risefortheworld.org. Thank you so much for coming to this session. I've got a couple of Q&A questions for our winners just at the end, just some quick fire. Any questions from the audience or from the chat as well. But as I'm speaking, go ahead, scan that QR code, get registered, follow us, learn more about our awesome winners. Yeah. And I know I had seen some awesome questions in the Q&A. I'll leave this slide up. But yeah, one question specifically for Raul, but also for anyone that wants to answer, is just how did you showcase your project in the video format, which I think is a good question to help any potential people applying.
Yeah, of course. So I did mine in a bit of a weird way. So what I did was I edited my video so I would show photos of my app on the screen. So I would have my like face in one half of the screen, and then in the other half I would have the video of my app running through. But I also, what I did was in the application, I think this is still around, but you're able to add in additional information. So like a link to a Google Drive or like a website where you have files available to download. So I've just found my old one. I uploaded 262 megabytes of files to that. And I think that's probably what supplemented my application, because I did rush through it quite a bit. So I definitely recommend providing as much detail to your application as possible, because it's really important to show your like what you've created and like being able to explain and showcase exactly what you've done overall.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good piece of advice since it's a video format. Another winner that we had in one of these sessions also said, like, document everything. Take pictures of everything, videos of what you're doing, writing in your notes app just for yourself, because even I sometimes am doing things and I'm like, what exactly did I just do? So make sure to document it all. to supplement it with some evidence and some proof of what you've been doing, so that when you're creating these videos to actually submit to the application, everything is really cohesive and makes a lot of sense for someone who has never seen you or your project before. Nathan or Giannis, if you want to add on. If not, that's also totally okay.
Yeah, so I took a bit of a different approach when it came to the video. I didn't really use any visuals in the videos itself. I mostly focused on giving a brief overview on my project and also doing a bit of self-reflection on how my project aligns with the RISE values. I can't remember all the 5 values on top of my head, but it was something like brilliance, empathy, there were 3 more, but I mostly focused on the reflection aspect on my video. And like Rahul, I used the supplementary material evidence section to submit everything that I had. I think I also submitted a Google Drive, I think, full of videos, pictures, brainstorming documents, and everything I did for my nonprofit. So yeah, I think it's really important to submit as much as concrete, tangible evidence you have, because that helps, I think, the RISE team really visualize what you've done and how that connects to your video reflection. So I think that's the approach that I took.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Janice.
Yes, and another thing I want to add about like presenting a video is that pay attention to like the guiding questions of the video, because when like other applicants are to peer review your videos, like need the question that like they have to answer is also like kind of related to the guiding questions. So if you really make sure that you're addressing guiding questions and ideally use some like topic sentence or like make very clear that you're answering those questions will help like you to present it clearly and also help other applicants to review your videos like more easily.
Awesome, thank you. And just going off of what Nathan had also just said about really visualizing, that's an awesome way to describe it, since the point of the videos and our application is that you aren't just telling us what you think or what you want to do, but you're showing us. And so we're really giving you free rein to show us your community-based, project-based submission. And again, there were some questions in the chat. Just want to reiterate, it is due January 17th. There's also going to be a recording of this Zoom, and all the dates will be very clear, but January 17th, over a month, which is still plenty of time. I think just one more question for our winners, and then we can go ahead and wrap. We're making great time, which is always awesome. And yeah, just a question about for all of you about what exactly a capstone project is and what exactly you did at Summit. If you could give a bit more detail, some people and I were wondering.
I can maybe start off on this question. So I think we touched a little bit on the capstone, but a capstone project is a project that all winners in the residential summit has to engage in. So I think we had about 19 or 20 different groups. We had about 4 to 5 winners in each group. And in my group, it was me, a winner from Japan, a winner from Lebanon, and another winner from India. And it's really pretty diverse. And we all share somewhat of similar interests, but we also have expertise in different disciplines. So I think the capstone project was a great place to really combine the interests that we have into a project. So how the capstone project looked like is through the residential summit over the course of 2.5 weeks. We had these little sessions in between the lectures where we were able to meet up with our groups and discuss ideas, identify problems and what we want to do for our capstone project. And then we also had mentors that joined those sessions that gave us advice on what we can do better and what doesn't really work and what can work. And toward the end, we did a presentation in front of a panel. And I think that was a great experience overall, just to get an idea of how these projects work. For example, a startup. And yeah, I think it was another great way to engage with other global winners that also share interests, but also have different interests other than what we're interested in. So I think that's the overview for me on the capstone.
Yeah, that sort of summed it up quite nicely. Basically, the capstone project, like Nathan said, you were split into groups of 4 or 5 winners, but then part of your capstone group you'll put into a larger base group, and in that group you would have like lectures and meetings, and you'll be able to speak with some really, really incredible people. So both of my base group coordinators. They were both Rhodes Scholars. One of them was from India, one of them was from Eswatini. And they had some really just incredible insights into so many different things, because I think the way it was sort of designed, you would have one coordinator, which was like a STEM-based person, and one coordinator, which was more like humanities. So Vignesh, who was from India, he did his master's in literature, and he was so talented in that, and his advice was really, really important, especially when you're trying to like develop a project which you were trying to present to other people. So for, like I mentioned, for our project, we were looking at using VR and stuff to try and improve medical diagnostics for treating mental health issues, and also providing a way for people who are stuck in like hospitals for long times to try and experience the outside world. And it was basically, you were given quite a lot of time to work on it actually, but I think the most important part of it was being able to do these trips to like trips to like, they were called site visits in a way. So I remember one of them, we went to the Francis Crick Institute, which is a very large biogenetics research lab in the UK, and we were able to go around and like speak to so many of like the researchers who were working there. And this is a very important part of it, because you were able to use this information to try and relay it back into your project and improve it. And I think that was really like one of the benefits of doing the capstone project, because you were able to have a very small group but also get so much more information from people outside as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, I just keep doing this. I'm sorry, Giannis.
Sorry, I should unmute my mic earlier. So to build on what Rachel said about like we get like other inputs or experience that help with our capstone project. We have like some themes for the capstone project that we can choose from, and then but the themes are very broad, so it's by no means limiting. And then like the RISE residential summit activities in the summit also like kind of complement like each other. So for example, there's artificial intelligence, education technology, entrepreneurship, and many other like more like key focus that can solve like a starting point for us. And then so we get like speakers or sharings on these subjects during the residential summit. For examples, there were some education technology startups that come to like share with us, and I feel like this kind of really help us to complement what we're doing for the capstone project. So it's matched very nicely with other activities during the residential summit.
Thank you so much for adding that, Giannis. And thank you again to all of our winners, Giannis, Nathan, Raul. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. And yeah, January 17th, application is due. Registration QR code in the bottom right. Maybe I said left earlier. I know my right from left. It's right. And yeah, thank you all for joining. Again, this will be recorded. We'll disseminate all of this information.
Can I add something quickly?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. I think just I think there's a lot of pressure for lots of people to become RISE winners in the end, but I think just applying for RISE in the first place is such an incredible achievement. So in our cohort, we had 80,000 people apply. That's a huge number of people, and so many of them would have been perfect RISE winners, but it's just impossible to have 80,000 people as RISE winners. So I think being able to actually develop your project in a way which is meaningful and showing it to other people is a really sort of a catalyst for you to be able to create more positive change in the future. So I think it's so important that, and it's such a big achievement just to be applying for RISE in the first place. And you should all be so proud of yourselves if you do end up doing that.
What a beautiful note to end on, Raul. That is really helpful and really genuine. Like we said, we went into some applicant benefits as well, but beyond the global network and the people that you meet, just the sense of accomplishing something so huge for your community and for yourself is essentially what RISE is about. So thank you for adding that. Thank you again for joining. All right. If the panelists could just stay for a second, but everybody else, thank you so much. I will now end share. Perfect. Okay, I think this tends to happen where everybody will stay in the Zoom. I will just say it. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Stop recording.